The Crisis in Science, with blacklisted astrophysicist Bruce Rout.
Do you think that there's any credence to the idea that the planet itself has consciousness and is aware of sort of our influence as potentially a negative thing? And then that leads me to the thought of just consciousness in general, and I would love to talk with you about your thoughts on that, because I know you mentioned that you've been getting a lot of questions on the consciousness subject.
And I want to know what you think death is on that note as well.
Oh, we're going to talk about consciousness and death. What a happy thought. Looking now at the consciousness of the planet as a life form is interesting, because then we have to go to what the heck do we mean by consciousness and how do we define that, okay? So are we looking at consciousness as being wrapped up within a particular life form? Because if we look at the human body is a large number of life forms that have all been packed together in some incredible arrangement and organization. But what is consciousness and where is it? We visually see out through the eyes and sort of things happening in the brain and stuff, but is that where the consciousness lies? Or do we also have consciousness without the limbic system as well, within our lymph nodes and other things like that? It's been shown that the brain can shut down, the limbic system will take over as an intelligence system. Even that, the nervous system, so it's kind of spread throughout our body. We're seeing other things. So that maybe we have a different thing. So let's just set that aside. Okay. And we will deal with the nothing, the absolute nothing. No particles, no nothing. We will say, oh, this nothingness, let's say way in some sort of cosmic bubble between super clusters of galaxies and stuff. There's nothing around. And we have a box. And in this box, there is absolutely nothing. Okay? Or this space. And we note that if there is a rock on one side and a rock on the other side, they can detect each other through gravitational being pulled towards each other. Therefore, this empty space is the property of being disturbed by a rock that comes around the thing. Okay, so it has a property. It has a property of being able to transmit gravitational influences. Now, we also have electric charge. And we can detect the electric charge through this absolutely empty space. Therefore, the property of this space is that it can transmit through it an electric charge. Along comes Big Al, and he gets out his pencil and paper, and he comes up with how it is disturbed by properties within the space-time continuum, that if the space-time continuum is curved, okay, it creates stresses and strains within it. So the curvature of space is equal to the stresses and strains, and the stresses and strains cause gravity. They're both the same thing. This is a property of the space-time continuum. It has the property of being there for a while. So little clocks and rulers all over the place, and so forth. It has a measure. It has, these are certain properties that it has. Now, another thing, we now go over to Frederick Hoyle's work, where he's saying that the entire space is filled with amino acids, okay? And then he says, let's start with the Big Bang, and we'll start with the existence of hydrogen and helium, 15% helium and 85% hydrogen. We'll start there, and we'll let everything be random processes to try and create one amino acid molecule within the entire universe. And let's take out our pencil and work at the back of the envelope and figure it out. It is a number that is so small, it's ridiculous. It's like 10 to the minus 400 and God knows what.
Oh, wow.
Okay, to find one amino acid. His conclusion then is that these processes are not random. Okay? They're not random processes that cause things. Right. So we see there is something called a property that was within this thing, so that if we start off with certain things, it will naturally decay into some sort of organisms that have order to them that eventually end up contemplating consciousness. So, okay, this seems to be a property of the space-time continuum. I am not saying the space-time continuum is conscious or not, okay? One time I was talking to the previous head of the J.J. Thomson Laboratory in Oxford. This is up at U of A. We're in a stairwell just talking about, things like the particle zoo at that time and stuff. I says, well, all these particles have personalities. Should we consider something like the consciousness of the atom? And he stopped and he thought for a while and said, humanity is not ready for that.
To hear the full episode, subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/radarpeak.